How is this child sex offender convicted of 3 counts of rape of a 12-year-old girl ever allowed to compete in this year's Summer 2024 Olympics in Paris? The story of Steven van der Velde. Warning, this video contains talk of child sexual abuse and strong language. So let's talk about this absolute nonsense. Steven van der Velde, or Van der Velde, I'm actually really not sure because every single person seems to say it different, but I've heard it mainly Van der Velde, so yeah, I prefer Van der Velde. So Steven is a Dutch volleyball player, born on the 8th of August 1994 in a place called The Hague, which is a city on the North Sea coast of Western Netherlands. The city is home to the UN's International Court of Justice, headquartered in the Peace Palace and the International Criminal Court. The now 29-year-old was accepted to represent for his country in the Paris 2024 Olympics. The thing is, this person is a child rapist and convicted sex offender. So how in the fuck was he ever allowed to take part in something that thousands would only wish to, but were pushed aside for someone who preyed upon a 12-year-old girl? A 12-year-old who was actually from England. This sicko travelled to the UK, and then because of the treaty that the UK has with the Netherlands, he was subsequently sent back and managed to completely get away with it all, going on to compete on behalf of his country in the Olympics this year. Steven had qualified for the Summer 2024 Olympics with the Dutch Olympic Committee standing by their nomination. Why would any country want someone like that to represent them as a whole? A Dutch court reporter named Chris Klomp and others have argued that he is not the sex monster or groomer that he has been made out to be in the English language and across the media, that he has served his sentence and publicly expressed remorse, apparently, and that he is, of course, free to move on with his life. Well, there is a big difference, my friends, in allowing someone to move on with their life and then choosing that person to represent your entire country at the most prestigious sporting event in the world, where you are also supposed to be setting an example. Which begs the question, what message are the Netherlands sending to the world by allowing itself to be represented by a man who was convicted of child sexual offences? The Netherlands as a whole seem worryingly unbothered by the entire thing. It makes you think. So let's take a look back at Steven's past and the sick crimes he committed and crazily somehow got away with. Not much is known about Steven's childhood, but what we do know is that back in 2014, he would travel from the Netherlands to the UK to abuse an innocent child when he was 19 years old. It actually was said to, apparently, have started when a 12-year-old British girl decided to take a chance and send the older male a friend request on Facebook, where if this did happen, I can imagine she probably did not expect a reply. But of course, this 19-year-old creep did respond, and they began communicating across social media. The young girl was probably flattered by the responses from an older male. I mean, if you didn't know what he had done, he's not the ugliest. They would continue to communicate via Facebook, Snapchat, of course, that's always a favourite with the groomers, and also using Skype. I literally dread to think. Steven claimed he believed the young girl was 16, but even when he was clearly told she was only 12 years old, this didn't sway him, make him stop, or think to break off contact. Nope. He proceeded to plan a trip from his home country to the UK. Around an hour and a half on an aeroplane. Clearly, this very trip took some planning. I have no idea where this sick freak planned to stay when he arrived in this country, but he certainly knew when to head over to the girl's home, as her parents had left her one day. Steven took his opportunity to abuse the girl when she was vulnerable and alone. The girl was from a place called Milton Keynes, which is a city in Buckinghamshire, England. around an hour and a half from London. The two had been in constant contact for months leading up to the meet. After boarding his flight on August the 2nd, 2014, just days before his 20th birthday, he would arrive at Luton Airport, then took a taxi 22 miles to Milton Keynes. Still in constant contact, when Steve knew the coast was clear and her parents were gone, he took it upon himself to plan to go to her home and take full advantage, which he did. Where it is believed Stephen gave the 12-year-old alcohol and took her virginity, plying her with Bailey's Irish cream, I believe. There are more details, but I just wish to not say them. Stephen would rape the girl multiple times. He even took advantage of her by the local Thurston Lake, so now every time she goes there or thinks of it, she will be reminded of everything. One of these horrific occasions, the girl was said to have told Stephen that he was hurting her. Of course he would. A grown man having sex with a virginal 12-year-old. It's just not right, and never will be. After Stephen was done with the girl, he returned home to the Netherlands, but only after he grossly told the girl she must now visit a sexual health clinic and take the morning after pill. Ugh, how disturbing is that? Now showing he'd also chose to use no contraceptive when abusing her, leaving the chance of impregnating the 12-year-old British girl very high. What a complete sicko. Imagine the psychological trauma she would have felt just being abandoned like that and left with having to go to a sexual health clinic alone and make sure she does not get pregnant. Just awful. And of course, all of the emotional and mental trauma she will be left with for life after this. Apparently, the girl was said to have gone on to not only cut her own wrists, but also attempt suicide. Oh, so sad. Just showing the damage Stephen left behind after his selfish, gruesome acts and grooming, and what all sexual abusers do to their sufferers for life. When the girl visited the clinic and her juvenile age was revealed, the workers there alerted concern, thankfully. So in a way, it's kind of good he told her to do this, as it actually led to his subsequent extradition back to the United Kingdom, and he was arrested in January of 2016. Hearing of the girl's self-harm, her expressions of guilt from the whole experience, and her once overdose, the British judge was disgusted, rightfully so. He remarked, "Your hopes of representing your country as an Olympic athlete now lie as a shattered dream." Also, that this was plainly a career end, or so you would think. And which I believe, if he was from the UK, certainly would have been the case, especially as the judge also chose to place Stephen van der Velde on the UK Sex Offender Registry for life, showing how serious the UK take this disgusting shit, or should do. But it seems in the Netherlands this is not the case. Many seem okay with the child sex offender representing their country, but I'm sure many don't too, of course. In March of 2016, at Aylesbury Crown Court, Stephen would plead guilty to the 3 counts of child rape, specifically to the charge of rape of a child under the age of 13. The UK judge sentenced Stephen to 4 years imprisonment, along with his name forever on our sex offenders list, which to me, incredibly menial. Just 4 years for rape of a child. This grown-ass man groomed a 12-year-old for months, then travelled to the UK to rape her multiple times, leaving her scarred for life, already shown by her self-harming and guilt-tripping along with an overdose. Why are many not taking this shit more seriously?
Van der Velde, who was jailed for raping a 12-year-old British girl, and he is actually competing. Do you think there should be, rules about your previous life before you're allowed to compete in the Olympics?
I think that's a very dangerous line to go down, given that we allow people who cheat in sport and take drugs in sport to then come back and compete. So to ban someone for, and as I understand it, he was 19 at the time, and he served his jail time, and it's a long time to carry on paying for that mistake for the rest of your life. And he may well have turned it around and completely repented. And tough thing to do to punish him twice. And if he's managed to successfully turn his life around after being sent to prison and to qualify and to be playing sport at the highest level, then I actually wish him the best of luck. Obviously, he will be watched during the village. And for it to be repeated now, or it to have been last year, I would be saying a different thing.
Absolutely crazy to me. Like this next part. Because under a treaty between the Netherlands and the UK, Stephen would be transferred to the Netherlands to serve his sentence. I guess kinda good. One less pedo in the UK prisons. But, and it's a big but, we are basically just meant to trust in the fact that the Dutch justice system will conform and imprison the scumbag for 4 years. Well, due to the Dutch law, the charge of rape, which it fucking was somehow substituted to just fornication. Are you kidding? Okay, hang on. Let's just look up the meaning of fornication. Alright, so Googly tells me that fornication is sexual intercourse between people not married to each other. Oh, okay. I didn't actually know that. I just thought it was a word used to describe people doing the dirty in general. But this clearly isn't that. Yeah, they're not married. Because she is a 12-year-old from another country. He didn't want to marry her. No, he groomed her for months, then travelled to her country to rape her multiple times and then leave her unrepairably damaged. Fornication, my ass. What an absolute insult to the girl, her family, and the British justice system. This was clear rape, 1,000,000%. So, in line with the so-called Dutch law, Stephen's already tiny sentence for the lifelong damage he caused was adjusted, and after serving just 13 months, yes, months, of his original 4-year sentence, he was released from prison. Just let free to live a normal life, like nothing ever happened. Even jumping straight back, pretty much, in 2017 into his volleyball career. After his release in 2017, Stephen, when reporting to the media, actually complained about, in his words, all the nonsense. Also even going on to claim that the term paedophile did not apply to him. Sorry, what? I wonder what this thicko even thinks a fucking paedophile is. Check his laptop and his search history immediately. The National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children in Britain, also known as the NSPCC, condemned Stephen's ridiculous claims and comments at the time, stating, "His lack of remorse and self-pity is breathtaking." I agree. The amount of times these creeps try to turn it around and claim they are the victims is actually unreal. Like on that show with Chris Hansen, To Catch a Predator. It's actually amazing how many times these sick bastards try to turn it all around onto their innocent victims. Stephen would return to international competition in 2018, a year after his release. Wow. In another interview, he would excuse his actions, commenting about the rapes he committed when he was 19, in other words, a grown man, saying, I made that choice in my life when I wasn't ready. I was a teenager, still figuring things out. I was sort of lost. Oh, were you lost, Stephen? Soon found your passport and your way across the sea to a 12-year-old's home now, didn't you? It was days before he turned 20. Let's not get it twisted. This was a grown adult man who preyed upon an innocent virginal girl in a complete other country. Very well thought through and planned. For months, he fully abused her and his rights in this country. He since described it as the biggest mistake of his life. Right, yeah, sure. You or your country don't really seem that bothered, with none of it even being reported or making any headlines in the Netherlands. Many acting shocked that others were so bothered. Stephen even managed to go on and find himself a volleyball playing wife, Kim Burns. She was born 22nd of September 1992 in Bremen, northern Germany. I should have really checked how to say these places. Oops. Bremen, northern Germany. She is also a volleyball and beach volleyball player. They married New Year's Day in 2022. Now, get this. Not only did his wife study psychology, but she also trained to become a police officer. That's right, a woman who studied the minds of this exact kind of creep and joined the police, the people who are meant to protect children from people like Stephen. And with all of her knowledge, she too just seemed to turn a blind eye to his convictions, even going on to have a child with the rapist. Nice. What kind of police officer in their right mind would find such a disgusting human excrement attractive and worthy of not only marriage but his own child? Nah, that's messed up. The Dutch Volleyball Association allowed Stephen to resume his career as a beach volleyball player, and in 2024 he was controversially selected to represent the entire country of the Netherlands in the Summer 2024 Olympics in Paris, France. The Dutch committee are standing by him and the nomination in choosing him, although, to establish calm, the Dutch Olympic Committee apparently isolated Stephen from the rest of the Dutch team, deciding not to house him with the other athletes at the Olympic Village, which I had no idea was even a thing. Jesus, how much does this all cost? I don't want to know. This decision clearly showing they knew he was a wrong'un. They also chose to bar Stephen from speaking to the media or journalists. Yeah, probably because when he does, he says ridiculous shit like the term paedophile did not apply to him. Does he see himself as some sort of god, or is he just genuinely that thick? Who knows why he believes this? Completely delusional. The Dutch Olympic Committee are also just clearly protecting themselves. Also commenting and apologising, saying they apologise for the psychological effect that Stephen's nomination on sexual assault victims, claiming they did not expect it to attract so much attention. That is incredibly worrying and shocking, just how blasé the Netherlands as a whole has dealt and reacted to the entire situation. Let's put this into perspective by looking at some of the reasons other Olympians have been banned from taking part. Recently, we have had a 6-time Olympian medalist, Charlotte Dujardin, was forced to withdraw from the Paris 2024 Olympics and handed a provisional 6-month ban after a video emerged of her from 4 years ago where she was seen unnecessarily whipping her horse. She was punished, as she should be. I personally find any sport involving animals as abuse, so yes, she should be removed. But we also have other cases, like apparently France banning athletes from wearing hijabs in the Olympics. Like, what? That's religion.
So France is banning athletes from wearing hijabs in the Olympics. What are your thoughts on this?
What happened to My Body, My Choice? For like liberal Western movements, they want to be like, yeah, you can do this or that. But really and truly, if someone's following their faith, you should let them do that. When did believing in God become a bad thing?
Then we have this ridiculous ban, in my opinion. Sha'CarriRichardson was a so-called supernova in running spikes, doing absolutely amazing for her country. She was due to run for the USA in the 2021 Tokyo Games. Sha'Carri was the fastest woman in the United States of America, just a phenomenal runner, and doing really well for herself, until not long before the games were due to commence, Sha'Carri found out via a reporter that her biological mother had passed away. It was just a normal scheduled interview, and she was totally stunned to hear this, as you would be, completely caught off guard, describing it as both triggering and nerve-shocking from a complete stranger. This sent her, into her words, into an emotional panic, blinded by emotions, sadness, and just hurting. It was just days before the games were meant to commence, and saying how she did not know how to deal with her emotions, finding out about the death of her mother so abruptly right before such an important life event. Sha'Carri decided to use marijuana in the hopes of it helping her cope. After testing positive for the use of marijuana, she was suspended for a month, meaning her chance to run at the 2021 Tokyo Games had been taken away from her, with it being in the following days. In April of 2021, Sha'Carri had run her new personal best of 10.72 seconds, becoming the 6th fastest woman of all time. Wow. Amazing. So let's get this straight. A woman who smoked a bit of weed to help her cope with a traumatic, close family tragedy just days before the event, something, may I add, would certainly not enhance her performance, if anything, just slow her down. This situation had no leniency and got her an instant suspension, taking her chances of Tokyo away. But we are just meant to accept a man who raped a 12-year-old multiple times and admitted to it, also downplaying his sick actions. We are meant to forget all that and have him represent the whole of the Netherlands in the biggest global sporting event? What kind of message does that send?
Straight. He raped a 12-year-old girl to compete in the Olympics when Sha'CarriRichardson inhaled a green plant that didn't enhance her ability to perform, got banned from the Olympics?
No wonder they didn't want to house him in the village with all those young people about. And think of all the opportunities this event has given him just to purely perv on young girls. So wrong. To even allow a convicted paedophile in such a huge event, never mind around all those kids and young people. I was looking up the age you have to be to apply for the Olympics. I saw in England it was 16, I think, but in other countries it's 13. So yeah, kids. Sickos like that don't just change. I guarantee he pervs on every 12-year-old he sees. I can't believe that France has allowed him to play, to be honest, as I've heard both the UK and the USA, plus more countries, have spoken out and said they would never allow this. When Stephen's name was announced and when he was seen, he received many boos from the audience, showing how clearly controversial and wrong it was having him there to many people. After the game, Dutch Olympic Committee press John van Vleer, honestly I have no idea how to say that, addressed remarks about Stephen's criminal record and protecting a child rapist, saying, "We are supporting Van der Velde to do his sport as best as possible at a tournament he qualified for." So basically, you're allowing it. His disgusting, perverse actions he committed here in the UK before fleeing means fuck all as long as he is a good volleyball player. Wow, disgraceful. Remind me to never visit the Netherlands, even if there are banging legal coffee shops there. I mean, really, guys, a woman smoking some weed, a non-performing enhancing drug, to cope with an incredible loss, automatic suspension. A child rapist plays for his country. Because he's reformed now, innit? Let me just add this little bit in here as well. The declaration that Olympians in Paris have to sign, Article 7, says you must be a role model. A role model, eh? Oh, and by the way, Sha'CarriRichardson went on to run in the 2023 USA Outdoor Track and Field Championships, where she became the US national champion in the women's 100 metres, winning gold in the 100 metres in Budapest, beating Sha'CarriRichardson and Shelley Ann Fraser-Price, both running legends, with a new champion's record time of 10.65 seconds, also winning gold in the relay final. And on June 22nd, 2024, she defended her title as the US national champion, qualifying her for the Paris 2024 Summer Olympics. You go, girl. So after all that said, what do you all think of the decision to let a child rapist represent his country? What do you think about his pathetic sentence? And just how easily many of the Dutch seem to be defending him, as when he received boos at the games, he also received applause. Like, who is applauding this sick fuck? I mean, seriously, I think you can tell how I feel about it all. And his wife, a policewoman? Words fail me. My thoughts are with the girl Stephen abused and anyone who has been affected by the shocking allowance of such a monster to represent his country. I swear the majority of people in this world know that this is completely wrong. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. Please drop me a little like if you did, and leave me a comment if you like. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for more content like this, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Random Gem.